know that Rotary played a leading role setting up Outward Bound, Crippled Children's Society, Meals on Wheels, Starship Ronald McDonald House, Defensive Driving, just to name a few? These organisations highlight the Rotary way to recognise a need, rally resources and implement a solution. If you want to play a part in Rotary and help your community, go to rotarysouthpacific.org. Rotary, people like you and me achieving extraordinary things. Call 0800 4 Rotary.
People like you and me. Well, hello everybody out there, and hello to it's first time on TV for me, so this will be a new thing as well. So welcome to my show, Rotary Matters. Well, not my show, our show, Rotary Matters, which is a show for Rotarians to put out into the community through this wonderful station, Arrow FM, what we do and what Rotary is about. I think Rotarians are a wee bit humble and often don't express so much what they're about in the community. So I don't have a guest today. Normally I have a guest, and I did have trouble having a guest, but I guess nowadays in the modern world, most of us work, and it is a challenge to get people to take some time out to come and do a show. So you're stuck with just me. However, we've got some exciting things happening soon over the next month or so, and one of them is our Teddy Bears Picnic, which our Rotary Club, Masterton Rotary Club, have run for 15 years. This is our 15th year. And so I have got, and I've not done this before either, I have a phone interview with Marguerite, who runs and organises and has from the start our Teddy Bears Picnic. So we'll look forward to listening to Marguerite and speaking to her. So on with the show. So about Rotary, well, I usually when I interview, ask the guest a few questions. So I thought I would just ask myself these questions and give you some answers really on me, and then we'll have a song, and then hopefully Marguerite will ring. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Well, my name's Donna, and I've been a Rotarian for over 12 years now, and I've absolutely loved every minute of it. It's been a learning curve. And one of the reasons I joined Rotary is because I wanted to network with business people in the community, but also I'm a believer of learning by just spending time with people. And I wasn't a great public speaker. In fact, I was quite shy and still struggle with public speaking, but I felt this was a way of sort of pushing myself a little bit and doing something quite different, where I had no choice but to get up on and do some public speaking. And so it's been a great way of learning and gaining a bit of confidence in that area. I'm a manager and a social worker of a private family support centre in town, so that keeps me pretty busy during the week. And Rotary is something that is, as I said, a passion, but also a hobby, I suppose, because I do the Rotary Bulletin, which is great fun to do, which is a weekly news bulletin that I put out. And I really enjoy running Rotary Matters, the show on the radio. So not only do I do the Rotary work, but I do Rotary Matters and the bulletin as well. So what led me to Rotary? Well, I had a friend who was a Rotarian, she's shifted to Australia now, but she was going to this club that she kept saying she was enjoying and spending time with, and maybe I should come. And I kept thinking, no, because there is a financial commitment to being a Rotarian, and so I made that excuse, and then it was, well, I don't have time, but our meetings are 7:30 in the morning for an hour, so I couldn't even use that as an excuse, because 7:30 in the morning's reasonably free time, not having children at home. So I ran out of excuses, and I thought, well, I'll go and have a look. So I went the first time, and I really enjoyed it. I met with a lot of business people from our community. We had some really interesting speakers come, and it was great, just a great time to spend with some people, like-minded people. So I thought, well, I'll try it for a little while and see how I go. And 12 years later, I'm still a Rotarian, which has had its ups and downs. Our club is a fairly small club, but it's certainly a very busy club and does some amazing work in our community. So the other 2 Rotarian clubs, 3 that are involved with Rotary Matters are Rotary South, which is meets on a Tuesday evening, and Carterton and South Wairarapa. I'll tell you a little bit more about those later on in the show, so you can get your pen and paper ready. That sounds like a phone call, so I'm going to let Veronica's going to come and help me do this phone.
So you go on, and then you speak.
Hi, Marguerite.
Hello, I hope I'm on time.
You are, perfect. So we're just having a chat on Rotary Matters, and thank you for ringing. Now, Marguerite is our wonderful lady who has spent, it's the 15th year, is it not?
Yes, this year is the 15th Teddy Bears Picnic. Amazing.
It is. Well done. So 15 years of running Teddy Bears Picnic, and we're going to have it again. And so do you want to tell us a little bit about where and when? And
Yes, so it is on Saturday the 3rd of November, and for people that don't know where it is, it's if you go to Colombo Road entrance to Henley Lake, just hang in there, and on the right-hand side is a big car park where you can park your car, and then there's a little winding path to the area where we will have the picnic. It starts at 11:30 a.m., goes for about 2 hours, so we finish usually around 1:30 with a massive lolly scramble, so I hope everybody gets an appetite for that.
always an appetite for lollies.
Yes, the picnic itself, we will have St Matthew's Collegiate girls will be doing face painting, hair braiding, and some bubble blowing activity.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and then there will be, who else have we got? We've got a few circus performers again.
Oh,
like
brilliant.
last year.
So every year,
he is a very experienced circus performer with Wellington Circus, and he does juggling and all kind of other tricky stuff that I don't know how he does it. And the kids can all have a go. There will be 2 other people. One lady does slick rope balancing, and the other one does roller bowler and hula hooping. But as I said, all the kids can have a go with it, which is really nice.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and of course Larry, our balloon magic man, will be there, so he will be making balloon animals or little hats or whatever he makes. It's totally balloon magic, so that is really cool.
You've got lots of activities going on. So, and you have all of these things for 2 hours. Is it 11:30 till 1:30?
Yeah, and the brass band, the Masterton Brass Band will be coming along too.
Oh, wow.
The local LJ Hookers are always supporting it, so they come along from about 12 o'clock and play for about an hour. And they play some real cool music. I mean, last year people were sort of dancing and singing along, so that's really awesome. And of course, Mr. Hookabear will be there. So, so the kids can have a photo with him or her. I don't know what you want to call Mr. Hookabear. Mr. Hookabear, let's call him Mr. Hookabear.
That sounds brilliant.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
So tell me...
There will be a sausage sizzle, so people can buy a sausage or bring their own picnic. The Cancer Society lends us shade gear, so there will be little sun umbrellas and other areas where people can sit, and there will be free sunscreen for people to use to stay safe, basically, from the sun. I'm trying to think what else is there. Yeah, people just have fun, you know.
It's an opportunity for families to just go somewhere, spend some fun activities that don't cost any money.
No, sorry, I forgot to say the main thing. Free entry, free entertainment. The only thing that you will have to pay for is indeed the sausage sizzle, and there also will be a coffee cart. Paul's mobile coffee cart will be on site, and of course you have to pay for the coffee. That is to keep the parents sane. There will be portaloos, or people can walk to the public toilets a little bit further along on Henley Lake if they want to, because there is dragon boat competitions on that day, if they want to go there afterwards. Beforehand, there will be a breakfast also put on by Rotary, and that is raising funds for the Blind Foundation. Oh, that's such a hard word. Sorry, Blind Foundation Guide Dog Program, and that starts at 8:30 till 10:30. So if people want to come along and have a nice breakfast, it's $12 per person or $60 for a 6-person table.
So tell me a little bit about how did the Teddy Bears Picnic start? What was the...
Well, it actually originally started to promote the Henley Lake area is an awesome area just to wander around, to have a picnic, or just sit on all the endless amount of benches everywhere. It's just such a cool area in almost the middle of town, and lots of volunteers, and I mean the local council guys, they do an amazing job in mowing it, and there's so much to see, and it's doable. A lot of people can do it in there with prams, or with what are those thingies called it? People scoot around on.
Mobility scooters.
Mobility scooters, yes. Oh, it is a scooter, yes. And it is easy accessible, and it's just, so it started off promoting, well, the Henley Trust and the area around Henley Lake, and it's sort of, I think we now have third generation people coming along. That's great. That are mothers now, and they were taken along when they were little, and it's really lovely to see. So, on average, there will be 3 or 4 adults attached to each little child, but it's free. So if people don't, well, if they cannot afford anything, well, they can wander over, sit on the grass, listen to the music, kids can have a play, and then they can go home after 2 hours, and it didn't cost a bean. So there's not many things that you can do that and have such great fun, so well done.
And
it's very rewarding to watch these kids getting their faces painted, or the little girls or boys having their hair braided, and they feel like little, well, princesses or whatever you want to call it. They're just having fun. It is simple, old-fashioned fun without screen time, without any mechanical electronics or whatever. Just enjoy being outside.
It's great, isn't it?
And playing along with other kids, because that happens too, of course, because there's piles of them.
I love there's so many people there. There's usually, lots and lots of people, and I love it that there's so many teddies. So you can get some of them are little tiny ones that people have pinned to their lapels, and some of them are great big huge ones that they're lugging all over the place. You bring your teddy, and it doesn't matter what size it is, as long as it's loved, and most of them are.
Critter. I mean, some children don't really like bears. Other critters are welcome too.
Teddies and their friends.
Teddies and their friends are welcome, and as you said, it's young and old that indeed bring one along, and that's actually it's just such a sweet thing and nice. And I know when you use the word nice, people go, what? But it is. It is just a really nice, simple event, and everybody has a good time. Short and sharp, doesn't cost you anything, and just have fun. And it's a community. It's a community event, and Masterton Rotary. It's always one of the bigger events, of course, and. It's not to make money. It is to have fun and be together and enjoy a few simple things in life, and listen to some music, and be with other people. It's
lovely.
Great.
So if the listeners out there wanted a little bit more information, what's the best place to find that?
Well, the best place would be actually our Facebook page. It's called Annual Teddy Bears Picnic. If you search for that, it will automatically come up. And from of ours this weekend, there will be little notes popping up to advise what is going on, and it will also have the details of where it is. The pass from the car park is free too. There will be oodles of it. People leave their car, wander along the path. There will be balloons and little signs to direct to where the picnic is, and otherwise you will hear it, I guess.
You don't hear them.
A lot of laughter.
I can just imagine them singing along, "We're all going on a bear hunt."
Well, there you go. Well, we actually one year did have a bear hunt. Oh God, that's quite a while ago, but it was really fun too.
What a great idea.
Yeah, it's a cute event. It's short and sharp, and yeah, hopefully lots of people will be able to make it and just have a good time. And it's not only for little kids. We've had several years that people take maybe Nana or Granddad along, or whoever else wants to come along, and yeah, just listen to the music and see the kids running around and just having fun.
Oh, lovely. Look, thank you for taking the time out of the day to do a phone interview. It's certainly been something new for me to learn on the stage today. It's also the first time I've been on. We're doing it so that we're on TV as well. So I'm doing a phone interview and
show up then in person.
Yeah, you would have been on the show. So thank you, and thank you so much for all your hard work putting into the Teddy Bears Picnic. It's something that I know a lot of the community, and working with young families, I hear it often that it's something that people wait for every year. So thank you so much for doing that, and have a good rest of the day. And I'll see you on the 4th with my teddy bear.
On the 3rd.
Third.
The 3rd of November. Please don't show up on the 4th because it's Sunday and I won't be there.
I'll see you on the 3rd.
On Saturday, the 3rd of November at Henry Lake, Colombo Road entrance. Park your car and we'll see you there.
Brilliant. Thanks, Marguerite. Have a good rest of the day.
You too. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Well, that was Marguerite. I think I'm doing things right. Veronica's helping again. There we go. So it was lovely to speak to Marguerite about Teddy Bears Picnic. Let's hope that you all are all geared up, got your teddy bears out, putting them on the wash, hanging them by their little ear on the clothesline, ready for the Teddy Bears Picnic. We're going to have a little music break now. I have chosen... That's one of the luxuries of running the show yourself. You get to choose, your favourite pieces. I am worried that it may be one of my favourite CDs that's got lots of scratches on, so forgive me if it starts hiccuping along the way. But I have chosen Dr. Hook, and it is, what is the song? Blue Jeans, I think. There we go. So just enjoy.
Don't touch me. Hey, Ray. Hey, Sugar. Tell them who we are. Well, we're big rock singers, we got golden fingers, and we're loved everywhere we go. That sounds like us. We sing about beauty and we sing about truth at $10,000 a show. Right. We take all kind of pills to give us all kind of thrills, but the thrill we've never known is the thrill that'll get you when you get your picture on the cover of the Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone. Wanna see my picture on the cover? Stone. Wanna buy 5 copies for my mother? Yeah. Stone. Wanna see my smiling face on the cover of the Rolling Stone? That's a very, very good idea.
I got a freaky old lady named a Cocaine Kitty who embroideries on my jeans. I got my poor old gray-haired daddy driving my limousine.
Now it's all designed to blow our minds, but our minds won't really be blown like the blow that'll get you when you get your picture on the cover of the Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone. Wanna see our pictures on the cover? Stone. Wanna buy 5 copies for our mother? Stone. Wanna see my smiling face on the cover of the Rolling Stone? Hey, I know how. Rock and roll! teenage blue-eyed groupies will do anything we say. We got a genuine Indian guru. He's teaching us a better way. We got all the friends that money can buy, so we never have to be alone. And we keep getting richer, but we can't get our picture on the cover of the Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone. Wanna see my picture on the cover? Wanna buy 5 copies for my mother? Wanna see my smiling face on the cover of the Rolling Stone? On the cover of the Rolling Stone. Wanna see my picture on the cover? Wanna buy 5 copies for my mother? Wanna see my smiling face on the cover of the Rolling Stone? Right up front, man, I can see it now. We'll be on front smiling, man. Oh, beautiful.
Oh, wasn't that fun? All I can think of is great big flared trousers with sparkles and embroidery, and men and women all wearing the same thing. I do like that sort of era of music. Great fun. Oh, sorry, trying to multitask here and it's not working so well. Marguerite did say while she was talking that as well as having the Teddy Bears picnic, we are going to be having a breakfast by the lake as well in the morning. Now, they're 2 separate events, but they are run by Rotary Masterton. So the breakfast by the lake is in the morning and the Teddy Bears picnic is in the afternoon. Doesn't mean you can't come to both. You certainly can come to both if you want, but they are a little different. So the Teddy Bears picnic is in the afternoon. Well, it's not really afternoon, it's in the morning, but later, 11:30. Now, the breakfast is, this is our 3rd year running the breakfast by the lake, and that is a very elegant cooked breakfast with bacon and eggs, and last year we had mushrooms and all sorts of yummy stuff, hash browns or hotcakes I think it was, and you sit on a very elegant white tablecloth with flowers and some live music and enjoy the ambience of Henley by the Lake to a beautiful cooked breakfast. Now, this is on the same day, the 3rd of November, but it's at 8:30 in the morning and it runs for 2 hours. It's $12 for breakfast, or if you get a table of 6, it's $60, which is a little bit cheaper. Now, the reason we have it is because I am legally blind and I have a little bit of sight, but I realised when I started losing my sight that life was going to be more and more challenging, and I decided to go for a guide dog. Not a lot of people that are blind go for guide dogs. You have to, first of all, love a dog, which I do. I've always had family dogs and family pets, and discovered that there's quite a journey in getting a guide dog. So I thought I'd fill you in on my journey with getting my guide dog. And my guide dog will be at the Breakfast by the Lake. Now, the purpose of the Breakfast by the Lake is that every bit of money that is made goes directly to Guide Dogs Foundation, Blind Foundation, Guide Dogs New Zealand, because we recognise the importance of the guide dogs and the work that is put into them, and for obvious reasons, me having a guide dog, it's kind of my passion. So this year we're raising money for the guide dogs, and Kenzie will be at the breakfast. So if you know Kenzie, you can come and say hello. And I know that the listeners out there can't see Kenzie, and I'll just... No, you can't even hear her because normally she's snoring. But I know if you are viewing, I have to look and find the... There she is. I've just took that photo. She is sound asleep under the desk. Spread out, sound asleep, directly under the desk there. So Kenzie's here with me. She goes everywhere with me. So I thought I'd tell you our story and how we met and what is involved in getting a guide dog. So, as I said, I'm legally blind. I have a genetic disease called retinitis pigmentosa, which is degenerative. So I started with losing a little bit of sight, losing more and more and more. It's kind of tunnel vision, so I've lost most of the sight all of the sight around the outside of my peripheral vision, underneath and on top, and I have just a little wee window of sight, so I can see someone's face when I'm looking at them, but that's pretty much it. And so what the dangers for me are is sort of walking, depth perception, all sorts of things that are around me, cupboards, steps, all those things are a real challenge. And so I started using a cane. Using a cane certainly helped considerably, but there are some challenges with using a cane as well. And it still wasn't great. It was helpful but not fantastic. I always enjoyed walking, and walking with a cane is quite a challenge. You aren't able to pick up any speed. They can be quite dangerous because they get caught on pavements, etc., and you can get quite a knockback, a kickback from them, which really does hurt. So I decided to go for the dog. Now, when you apply for a guide dog, there's quite a waiting list and there's quite a process. First thing is that you have to be competent with a cane first, because if you have a guide dog and that dog is unwell or isn't able to work for the day, you need to have a backup plan. So you have to have been using a cane for at least a year before you get a guide dog. So I started my training using a cane, and sort of getting the Blind Foundation were fantastic in teaching me skills to cope with managing my sight loss. So that was a year of training. At the same time, Kenzie was born, one of a litter, and they start with the letter A at the beginning of the year. So they have the A litter, B litter, C litter, D litter through the year. So each litter gets, and all of the pups within that litter are named after that letter. So all of Kenzie's brothers and sisters will be, their names will start with K. So she's Kenzie. And she was born in 2015 to the K litter. And so she started her training at the Blind Foundation up in Auckland. She lived in a puppy walker home, and for 18 months was given just daily lessons on good manners. She was taken absolutely everywhere, so given as many experiences as possible so that she would learn to manage distractions and not get frights in loud, noisy places. So she was allowed to go absolutely everywhere with her puppy walker family. And then after 18 months, they then do 6 months of intensive training with them, and that's when they start the harness work and start training them to do all the things that they need to do to keep me safe. Walking with a harness, stopping at roadways, going to steps. I'll fill you in a little bit further down the story on exactly some of the things that she does that are particularly helpful for me. So Kenzie was doing her training. Then they started doing things like started to match the dogs up with people that were vision impaired or blind. So they would do things like video me walking to work out how long my gait was, how tall I was, the speed I walked. I had a trial run with a couple of dogs as well, just to see how that went. They would do things like check my house out, my home out, make sure that a dog would fit within my home environment, and my partner and my family and my work, how a dog would work with all that as well. So there's a considerable amount of work put into matching the person that has the sight challenges with the guide dog. Of course, they do not want to set you up with failure, because it costs $30,000 to get Kenzie to the level she's at now. Now that is more than most people would spend on their car, on a car. So $30,000 is a huge amount of money, and they do not want to set the dog of $30,000 worth up with someone who's blind and either risk the safety of the blind person or waste community money because the dog doesn't work for that person. So they really do not want to set you up for failure, hence it being a very stringent testing. So after 2 years, I got a phone call saying, congratulations, you have a dog that matches you, and we're going to put you two in some training and see what comes of that. And I can tell you it felt like being a newly expecting mother, just being told that you're pregnant. It was like, oh, okay, don't really know what that means in the long run, but I'm sure I'll love it, and it's exciting and scary at the same time. So I went to Palmerston, and I was told that I would do 2 weeks solid training, and I thought, oh, what are they going to teach me in 2 weeks? Sounding a bit arrogant, really. I said, I've had 4 German Shepherds, and how on earth will, what are they going to teach me for 2 weeks solid on having a dog that I don't already know? Well, I was well wrong, I can tell you, because it was 8 to 5 every day, and some evenings every day, 7 days for the 2 weeks, 14 days total. And by golly, it was the biggest learning curve. I came home absolutely exhausted. But so they do, you learn a lot more than you ever considered. So I sat in the motorhome in Palmerston waiting for the birth of my dog, the birth of my baby, and it was Kim, the woman from the Blind Foundation, walked into my motel room with the dog on the leash and handed it to me and said, there she is. And I wasn't allowed to have her unchained from me. She had to be leashed. I had to hold the leash for 3 days. So she had to stay within the vicinity of my leash for 3 days. So I remember sitting in the motel room holding this dog and going, oh my goodness, what do I do now? Hello, doggy, you're gorgeous. What do we do? And it was the strangest feeling. It did remind me very much of walking out of the maternity home with this new baby going, what do I do now? So the 2 weeks involved both of us learning how to manage traffic, how to manage steers, how to manage silly things that you don't even think of, like how do you walk through a door together? How do you... how does she know where steps are? How does she know to stop at the, and can I trust her to stop at the intersection? How does she know left from right? It blows me away. A lot of adult humans don't know their left from their right, and Kenzie knows left and right so well. So what they taught her and what they taught me, and then they merged the two of us together, and it felt like a very awkward partnership. And we then we went home after the 2 weeks training, but the Blind Foundation are all along the way, they're there to support. And I've had Kenzie for a year now, and it's no longer awkward. We work together beautifully. She's just the most loving dog as well, which helps. But she is absolutely amazing in what she does for me. I just cannot express the freedom she gives me. A perfect example is going into a restaurant. Now, without my guide dog, when I go from light to dark, I'm totally blind when I walk in to the restaurant. I can hardly see a thing. It's pretty much black. And so what I would have to have done is trusted my cane, which will not tell you that there's a chair until the cane goes straight through the chair, or hopefully someone would help me to a table. Or I would stand there for a long time and hope my eyes would come right. With Kenzie, I can walk into a restaurant, trust her enough to say, find the counter, and she will take me to the counter without hardly batting an eyelid. And I trust her to be able to do that. She will weave me around people, around chairs, around tables, and take me straight to the counter. Or if there's a family member or friend at a table, I can say, take me to the others, or take me to Dad, or take me to Trudy, or whatever. And she will directly go there with me, which makes me much, much more confident walking into a restaurant. I don't feel so silly and embarrassed. There's no risk of falling over a chair or anything like that. And one of the things that blows me away is people's intolerance of somebody bumping into you or doing something silly because they don't understand that you can't help it because you're blind. So if you don't have a dog with you, that you will get some quite hefty huffs and puffs and sighs and some fairly not so great grumbles and sometimes some pretty upfront words from people. When you have a guide dog, people realise that when you do bang into them or knock the handbag off their shoulder or something, you have genuinely done it by mistake or an accident, and they are much, much kinder. In fact, when I was using my cane, my family said that I then started getting what they call the double sorry. So I would walk along and someone would bump into me and they would say sorry, and then they would recognise the cane and go, oh, sorry. So my family said, oh, you always get a double sorry. So people do bump into you, see the dog and go, sorry. So, yeah, a double sorry. So that's really the story of how Kenzie and I became a team. One of the things that I do tell people is that she does love a pat. She's a very pretty dog and people just love to give her a pat. But if I'm holding her harness or her harness is on, please ask. Do not go straight to Kenzie and give her a pat because it can distract her from working and put me at risk. There was a situation a little while ago where a dear old lady was walking along and I was walking along by countdown. Of course, I didn't see her coming from the side. She saw Kenzie and she just went straight for Kenzie and gave her a big pat. Kenzie lost attention and rushed towards this woman to get a big pat, and I fell into the garden. Now, the woman was mortified and embarrassed. I was upset and embarrassed, and Kenzie got a fright too. So, yeah, there's a lesson there for people. Just be very careful because although guide dogs are gorgeous and usually very friendly, when they've got the harness on, they are working, and Kenzie takes her job very seriously. So when something like that happens, she gets quite upset, and it does take me a little while for me to gain a little bit of confidence for her again as well. So if you do see me around, I'm quite happy for you to have a pat, but please come and ask me, not Kenzie, and I'll come walking directly to me because I can't see you from the side. But I will be taking Kenzie to the breakfast by the lake. Enough talking. I'm going to put another song on now. I have no idea what's on, so we'll just enjoy what is going to be. It's a New Zealand Classics CD because I love Kiwi music, and oh my goodness, we are really going back. Now, this one I think I will put on is when I was very little, I remember my mum and dad having a radiogram and these great big thick 78 CD records, or as my children used to call them, records, and this was the song that they had on it.
Come
Did you know that Rotary played a leading role setting up Outward Bound, Crippled Children's Society, Meals on Wheels, Starship Ronald McDonald House, Defensive Driving, just to name a few? These organisations highlight the Rotary way to recognise a need, rally resources and implement a solution. If you want to play a part in Rotary and help your community, go to rotarysouthpacific.org. Rotary, people like you and me achieving extraordinary things. Call 0800 4 Rotary.
Well, I'm back again. Had a little break. I didn't realise I could talk so much on my own. Gosh, I was a bit worried about it, but it seems to get there and get out. So I thought now, because you're probably tired of hearing about me and Kenzie, or Kenzie and I should say, we should talk a little bit more about Rotary and what's going on for Rotary. One of the things that we did just recently is sponsored 2 children to go to Raipen, which is Rotary's youth program of enrichment. Now, it is for 15 to 17-year-olds, and we sent a young man called Archie and Zoe, a young girl, to Zoe, to Raipen. So they spent 3 days, I think it was, a long weekend in, gosh, can't even remember where it was now. Isn't that awful? How prepared am I? New Plymouth, maybe? Anyway, doesn't matter where it was. It was great fun. And Zoe's my granddaughter, and so she was able to fill me in a little bit about what she had done. And it was things like lots of fun games and things, but also speaking about leadership and doing those trust tests where one will stand on the table and fall back and everybody else has to catch you. And it was one of the things, I think it was actually, I can genuinely say for my granddaughter, a life-changing opportunity. And I know Archie, who went as well, had the same sort of scenario. That really is an opportunity for youth to realise what they can do in the world and what the possibilities are, and just to give them a taste of leadership and growth, personal growth. So it's a great thing for us to give the opportunity to. We also were able to help 2 young women to go to Innovative Minds and this year, and gosh, we've just done so much stuff over this year. I can't even begin to name some of it. I do have some here. I'll just read out some of the things that we've done over the recent year. So we help donate to Food Bank. We also, our Rotaries together, cluster Rotaries, helped provide the TV. So Rotary, thank you for now making me sit in front of a camera as well as the radio. So our Rotary cluster, which is all of the Rotary groups, clubs in the Wairarapa, all put in together to be able to help Arrow FM 92.7 and YTV be able to work together. We, of course, did the Teddy Bears picnic last year, which was a great success, and as you've heard, we're going to be doing that again. And we donate money to the food bank every month. We helped bring it to Colombo Netball Courts. We sponsored 2 students through the Harry Tolley Trust to be able to go to St Matthew's College. The 2 young women that went to Innovative Young Minds really enjoyed that, and of course the 2 that went to Raipen, as I've said. We also helped Rotary South Wairarapa fund that we gave some funding towards the Rarotonga medical bus, and we helped collect for Parkinson's. We helped collect for Life Flight Trust and the Daffodil Day, to name just a few. What we do have is called our Splinter Group, which is our main way of raising funds to be able to help people and provide fantastic things like the Teddy Bears picnic. The Splinter Group is a group of our Rotarians who meet once a week, or often more this time of the year, maybe even sometimes up to 3 times a week, to cut kindling and chop firewood, which we sell. And the money that we make from the kindling and firewood goes towards our being able to help these youth, etc., do these wonderful things. So it's been a busy year for us. It's also been an incredibly busy year for the other clubs. Unfortunately, haven't got a great deal of information on what the other clubs are up to. I know the Martinborough Fair is one. That's a very busy time, which is South Wairarapa. The Rotary South Masterton do the mini putt. Sorry, I went blank there. The mini putt and the boot sale out by the Wairarapa Services Club on a Sunday, and they also have had a lot to do with the new cycle track that is being built by the skating rink for children to be able to take their little bikes down and learn road rules in a fun and safe way with a cycle track. There's some exciting stuff going on in our community, and the Rotary clubs throughout our community and Rotary members have a lot to do. Here we go. So if you want to know a little bit more about what's going on in the other clubs, you can contact the club secretary or ring 0800 4 Rotary. So it's 0800 and then the number 4 and then Rotary. And you can be put through to or given the details of your local clubs. You could go to rotary.org.nz or Facebook, Rotary 9940, or and I do know that the clubs have their own Facebook pages as well, so you could do that. And Twitter, if you are a tweeter, you can twit. I never know how you say that. You can go on Twitter and find Rotary on Twitter. So there's some great ways to find out more about our Rotary clubs. I better be watching the time too, shouldn't I? Gosh, yes, it does go fast. So the presidents of the clubs, so Masterton Rotary is Alan Kirkham. Masterton South is Graham Sawyer. Masterton South Wairarapa is David Helford. And Carterton is Joseph Gillard. So, here's the names for you. But one of the things and all of our clubs are quite different. We all have the same goal, and we're all service clubs. We want to serve our community, and we all have our passions and desires, and each club has its own sort of flavour and size. So Masterton, which is my club, as I say, meets in the mornings, and that suits me down to the ground because night meetings aren't a great thing for me. So we meet on a Thursday morning at 7 for 7:30 at Copthorne. So that's Thursday mornings, 7 for 7:30 at Copthorne. Masterton South meets at the Masterton Club, and that is on, I haven't written it down, Tuesdays and I think it's 6 for 6:30. I could be corrected on that one. My apologies, Masterton South. I missed it. South Wairarapa is at the Wairarapa Working Men's Club, and that is 6 for 6:30 on Wednesdays. Thought Kenzie was snoring. And Carterton is 6 for 6:15 at the Carterton Memorial Club. So pop along. You will be made most welcome at any of these clubs. You can ring beforehand or just turn up on the day and surprise them and say, "Ta-da, Donna said to do this." Sorry, guys. But pop along and you will be made most welcome because we love having visitors, and you could always become a prospective member. So that's the details. This show is repeated again on Saturday, so you can hear more, but you can also go into Arrow FM's website and listen to our show on a podcast, or go into, if you've got the YTV app on your phone, you can watch us. So, watching. Yeah, there we go. How are we doing for time? We might have one more music break and then we'll come back and I'll just talk a little bit more about the Teddy Bears picnic and the breakfast by the lake and give you some final details on that and call it quits. So one more song. Another one of my old favourites is Chocolate.
Never could believe the things you do to me. I never could believe the way you are. Every day I bless the day that you got through to me. 'Cause baby, I believe that you're a star. Everyone's a winner, baby, that's the truth. That's the truth. Making love to you is such a thrill. Everyone's a winner, baby, that's no lie. That's no lie. You never fail to satisfy. Never could explain just what was happening to me. Just one touch of you and I'm aflame. Baby, it's amazing just how wonderful it is. All the things we like to do are just the same. Everyone's a winner, baby, that's the truth. That's the truth. Making love to you is such a thrill. Everyone's a winner, baby, that's no lie. That's no lie. You never fail to satisfy. Everyone's a winner, baby, that's the truth. That's the truth. Making love to you is such a thrill. Everyone's a winner, baby, that's no lie. That's no lie. You never fail to satisfy. That's no
Oh, I'm back on. So, it's coming to the end of the show. I just thought the last thing that I talk about within Rotary is the Paul Harris Fellow Awards that we present to Rotarians. I had the pleasure of presenting one to one of our Rotarians recently. Now, Paul Harris was somebody very important to Rotary in the original history of Rotary clubs, and he created an award that we can present, and it's the highest award that you can get within Rotary, and it's quite a privilege to have one, and it is to acknowledge the service that you have given within your community and to your Rotary club. So I was able to give one the other day, and I thought I would just read out what I read out on the night so that it gives you an idea of what this man does. So, So there's someone in our club who gets a lot of teasing. He seems to be the butt of many jokes. He also is the chap we enjoy to know but definitely do not want to meet with professionally. Any business letters he receives are always signed off with, eventually yours. This man has dedicated 15 years plus to Rotary, and within those years he has been involved in and helped with many projects. Got any idea who it might be? Can you guess? I would like to ask, well, that's actually what I said on the day, so I don't need to say that now, David Dew to come forward and to be honoured with a Paul Harris Award. So I had the pleasure of working closely with David on several projects over the years, and I've also had the honour of following him in his as President-elect. The role as President is always easier with someone who makes the job a smooth transition to the job. Everything David does or is involved in and has done is done in a calm and professional manner. David is an impeccable speaker and is often shoulder-tapped to be the MC at changeovers and functions that we hold. Very rarely do we get a decline. He has been the guiding force on projects where his business nous has come in handy. David is also very happy to roll his sleeves up and just do simple graft, such as firewood and chopping down trees. So therefore, I was able to recognise David's service to the community and to Rotary with the Paul Harris, which was a very special moment to be able to do that. And I just wanted to acknowledge that on the radio show today for one of our fellow members. So we have talked about the Breakfast by the Lake and the Teddy Bears Picnic. So I hope you've written them in your diary. 3rd of November, not the 4th, like Donna said before, the 3rd. And it's a Saturday, and so the Breakfast by the Lake costs $12 for the breakfast, or if you get a table of 6 of you, we'll give it to you for $60, and bring your workmates or your colleagues, and we'll give you a beautiful cooked breakfast with live music in a stunning environment, so you don't even have to do the dishes, and that's a fun thing to do, and all the money that's raised from that goes directly to the Guide Dog Foundation. And there will be Kenzie there that you can come and say hello to. And then after that, you can whip home and get your grandchildren, if you haven't got them with you, or your children, and come to the Teddy Bears Picnic. So that is free, although if you would like to buy a sausage, the Girls Brigade will be selling sausages there and a sausage sizzle. But I think there's going to be lolly scrambles and circus performers, bubbles, face painting, balloons, clowns. No, I don't think there's clowns. I think that's one thing we don't have. Oh, those funny wavy mirrors that make you look really fat or really skinny. Not so great. I like the really skinny ones. So there's lots and lots going on. So there we go. That's my show for the day. Sorry I haven't got a guest, although I do appreciate Marguerite ringing on the phone. Thanks, Marguerite. Lovey, my taxi driver, I'll say hi to you if you are listening. You said you might be. I'm on my way down for a ride home. So enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for listening to the show, and go and pop into a Rotary Club and have breakfast or dinner one day and see. You might just like us.